Hey, the other day, a guy called Hero Killer 621 came to me and was like, I've been playing with Zerath and I think I have a good team. And I was like, yeah, it's probably worth a shot to test this, but even if I try it, I would have to make a lot of runs and I would have to compare this team to all the other teams, which just sounds like a lot of work to do by hand. It turns out that it actually is better than all the other teams that I've seen so far, and that's why I'm making this video. But it is not better than all the other teams on its own. We still had to do a bunch of tweaking, especially on the speed tuning side. I will get to that later. First, let's just look at the team. So we have Ling Ling going first. She will soften up the crystals and hopefully trigger perfect AI on Lushen. Then Lushen just, in an ideal world, just kills the wave, and even if he doesn't, it will kill the wave, it just will be slower. Then we have Lauren moving, and then we have Argan to nuke, and then we have Brandia to finish off the run. If you have this team running in the order I just described, you will not have a particularly good time. It will run like 30.5 seconds average, but it will fail like 3% of the runs, which isn't any better than any of the other teams that I already showcased, or the Seishizo team, or whatever you want to use. However, what this team has going for it is that you can actually make Ling Ling to lab the other units. So let me walk you through how this team actually runs in a run. So first you have Ling Ling moving, she's on Violent, so she can proc. Then ideally here you would have Lushen moving and clearing the wave, but just for the sake of argument, let's say that he derps because nothing is in perfect AI range. And then you have the Lauren to provide defense break, and then you have Ling Ling moving again. Now you don't need crazy speed to achieve this. After Ling Ling you have Argan. At that point there should in most scenarios be already the buff block on the boss, so that Argan can nuke him properly. It is kind of important to have Ling Ling moving before Argan, because Ling Ling's skill 2 has a strip and buff block, so that's why. And let me get to the boss. Yeah, in the waves, the crystals will sometimes take a turn, but it's not a big deal. And then on the boss, Ling Ling has pretty good AI, so she usually will use whichever skill she has. If she uses the skill 3 in the previous wave, she might not have it up, but that's why she labs. So you have Lushen, then you have Ling Ling. If there is no buff block, she will usually use skill 2 again, and then you have Argan and Brandia to finish off. Let's talk a bit in detail about what kinds of runes these units are actually running. So you have Violent Blade on your Ling Ling. Now you don't need this much damage on your Ling Ling. It will just make the waves run faster. It doesn't really help on the boss, and so you can get away with a tanky build or just whatever build you have, but this speed is mandatory, otherwise it will not run properly. Then we have the Lushen moving, just go triple fight on him and he's fine. He just needs to be less than plus 59 beat. Then you have Lauren, just make her very tanky, as tanky as you can. 100 crit rate is very much optional. Everything in this dungeon has 40 resistance, so 25 accuracy is the cap. So this is overshooting it a bit, but you do want your Lauren to have at least double will, maybe even triple will, and you want to have artifacts and runes such that she doesn't die. So you have a lot of HP, and here we have triple roll in damage taken from wind. Then we have the Ling Ling moving again, and then Argan. He needs one set of will because if Ling Ling decides to proc like crazy, the boss will trigger, I think it's this, yeah, whenever a 5th turn ends, it will drop down lightning bolts and it will stun. So Argan needs will, and I put him on violent as well, that way you maximize the chance of actually landing the debuff block. If it lands at least once, it usually doesn't fail. There are runs where everyone just derbs horribly and it goes wrong, but those are very rare. I'll get to just how rare they are in the next section, but as I'm showcasing this right now, it fails about 1% of the times. And then you have Brandia moving. Again, you need will, 35 crit rate, and yeah, some accuracy, as much damage as you can. Damage on wind. Now, in this team, if you don't have a Brandia, you can replace her with Ken. With Ken, you would want to put him as your lead, and the speed tuning stays the same. You will need lots and lots of damage on your Ken, and it will slow down the runs. So let's go over the speed tuning. So the Ling Ling has to move in the 5th tick, because if she doesn't, she will just not be able to cut anything and she will go after the Brandia. So she has to be 168. If you have Swift on her, you will have to put it to 169. That's just because of how the menu calculates speed. So 168 on non-Swift and 169 on Swift. I would very much recommend to run her on Violent specifically because it makes the runs way safer. How much safer? I'll get to that a bit later. It saves around a third of the runs that would fail otherwise. Then Lushen has to move next, and he will have to move on the 9th tick. He has to be at most plus 159 and at least faster than Lauren. So the Lauren just needs to be faster than the Argan, and the Argan has to be at most 42 speed if you have 168 on Ling Ling, and then if you increase the speed on your Ling Ling, you can make him a bit faster. Right, if you're not sure, just consult this table. I will link it in the video description. You just input your speeds and it will tell you if the turn order is correct. And then Brandia has to be at least 150 combat speed. I choose to be 153 combat speed because, and then Brandia, she has to be between Argan and plus 22. I choose to have her on plus 25 because usually if she uses her skill 2, she increases her attack bar by about 80% because it's 10% for every debuff. She places 6, and if there are 2 debuffs on the boss, that makes 8, so that's 80%. And if you have plus 25 speed, she will cut in before the right crystal moves, and if she's slower than that, she will not. Yeah, so the speed tuning is really tight. It's like 3 speed difference, so 39 to 42, and on the Brandia you have 25 to 28. If you want to run Ken, he needs to be at least 31 to 37 speed. And you want to use him as your leader skill because it just gives you more efficiency than running the Lushen. This is how the team runs when you have Ling Ling on Violent, but she doesn't cut anywhere, so she's just slow. It's kind of fast compared to all the other teams, but it fails a lot. This is what it runs if you run her on Swift, if you can't make her on Violent. So you have 30.7 seconds average over almost 700 runs, and it was 98% successful. This is what it looks like on if you run her on Violent. The speed goes down by a bit, but the success rate goes way up. So we went from 96.9 to 98.7 over 1100 runs. So this one is very safe if you run her lapping on Violent. Now, yes, you will lose about 1.5 seconds just waiting for the Ling Ling to be over with doing her stuff and proccing like crazy, because skill 1 can proc into skill 2, and skill 2 can proc into skill 3, and then she can violent proc and do it all over again, and then she can violent proc again, and then she laps, and then she can do that again. So sometimes you will just feel like watching Ling Ling take turns and turns and turns and turns and wasting your time, but she's the glue that holds the team from failing. This is the testing that I did for the team running Ken. The success rate goes down because Brandia just does so much, but this is, as far as I know, the best team that doesn't use Brandia. So you have 35 seconds average on 98.2 success rate. The sample size isn't as big as all of the other testing I did, but it should be pretty representative. Now you might be asking how well does this stack against the other teams? If you compare it to the Seishizo team, I did a lot of testing on that as well. As you can see, 1100 runs. It was slightly faster than the violent version, but slower than the Swift version, and it failed 3% of the runs. So the new team is a bit slower, but it fails less than half as often. This is how it runs compared to my old team that I showcased in one of my earlier videos. That's the Chivu team. So in total for this video in particular, I did 5,400 runs. Now this visualizer, it is coming to the website with the speed tuning calculator at some later point. It is still very much work in progress, but I should have it ready at some point soon in the future. So if you're interested in using something like this to visualize your runs, please subscribe. So now I'll just show the runes again and show you some runs.